What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I wanted to showcase Golisopod in the Open Ultra League. This Pokemon is a very flexible Pokemon, having Shadow Claw as its fast move, Liquidation and Aerial Ace coverage is fantastic, and the defensive Bug and Water typing is actually extremely strong. This is a big core breaker for a lot of different teams, and Golisopod just in general is a very strong pick. If you want to see my battles live, I stream almost every single day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN, where you can see live insights into my gameplay and see my teams early. I'd love to see you there. The link to that is in the description. Without further ado, let's get to the battles and see what Golisopod can do. Alright, let's get right on into game number one. Shadow Steelix in the lead up against Shadow Feraligatr. I don't normally like using Shadow Steelix, but the Thunder Fang fast move pressure is one of the best things about it. So many people disrespect electric type damage, as you're probably going to see in today's video, because it is such a very rare typing to see offensively, but Shadow Steelix is able to make it work. Here comes our first breaking swipe. They went for Aqua Tail, so unfortunately they are running Aqua Tail rather than Sludge Bomb as their secondary move. No debuff on that first breaking swipe, which is fine at this point. I know I can reach another one in just a second here, but I think Shadow Drapion might be just bulky enough here in Ultra League to survive two breaking swipes, all the Thunder Fangs that lead up to it as well, and maybe even take the Zero Shield matchup. If I can get a debuff here, that's going to be kind of nice, but at this point, I think an Aqua Tail still would knock me out. I try to make the catch with our Golisopod, but unfortunately for us, they end up calling it, and now they're going to go for a crunch here, doing quite a bit of damage. No defense drop, though, luckily, and they come in with a Virizion. This Pokemon is by no means an answer to Golisopod. We have Aerial Ace for this exact reason. If we were running X-Scissor, this would be a much more awkward situation, but because of our Aerial Ace coverage, we can two-shot this Pokemon, we can no-shield the Sleep Blade, and as long as I have energy on my Steelix and on my Golisopod, I should be able to win this game. It really depends on how our opponent wants to play this one out right now. I'm going to end up shielding this, and if I can, I want to swap it into my Talonflame here, try to go for an Incinerate down, bank all of the energy that I can, and use Talonflame up energy against that Feraligatr later on this game. They go for a charge move here. I know it could potentially be a Stone Edge, but I think they're running Sacred Sword and Leaf Blade. We make the call, and it looks like that is in fact the case. They end up going for Leaf Blade. We take almost no damage there, and now I'm going to be able to go for Flies in just a second. I do have a lot of energy across the board. My Golisopod has almost 2 charge moves. My Talonflame has almost 2 charge moves here, and I know Fly is going to do a massive amount of damage. I'm expecting a shield here. I'm also expecting a potential catch from our opponent right now, so I'm going to keep on watching, make sure that they end up staying in, but they don't. They try to catch here, so I go for another Incinerate, knock out the Shadow Drapion, and now we have a lot of energy on Talonflame. They have to throw energy against our Talonflame right now before we can get to the next Fly, or else they're going to get knocked out by fast food pressure after the fact. They do throw energy here, and because of that, I know Shadow Steelix can come in, force them to drain energy, or maybe even get to a charge move before they can Shadow Claw us down, and then my Golisopod later on this game can throw those Aerial Aces if we need to. Our opponent opting to let us throw this move. At this point, I know we have enough energy on our Golisopod, and they have no health left over on their Feraligatr that we can just take the win this game. GG's to them. Next matchup, Shadow Steelix up against Shadow Dragonite. Not exactly a great lead, but also not a terrible lead. Honestly, no, it is a pretty good lead, right? We're resisting the Dragon Breath pressure, but I know in the Zero Shield matchup, they can survive a Breaking Swipe, and they can go for a Superpower against us, meaning that they will get a shield advantage. With that said, our backline is very weak to this Pokemon. I'm very happy to see it right now. We don't get the debuff on our attack drop chance with Breaking Swipe, but this is still fine. We're going to shield up one way or another here. I know if they're staying in this matchup, it likely means they're a little bit weak to our Steelix in the backline. They come in with a Cresselia of all things, and I'm going to try to build up as much energy as I can. Our team is actually extremely powerful against Cresselia. Our worst matchup is honestly probably this, as long as they're running Moonblast. If they have Future Sight, then maybe Cresselia against our Talonflame wouldn't be that bad for them, but I'm going to make the call that they're running Moonblast and Grass Knot here. They're farming up so much energy. We don't get a catch on a Grass Knot, but that's fine. We have a ton of energy on our Steelix, and they end up throwing a Moonblast. We've already seen Grass Knot, so they are running the moveset that our Talonflame can easily hard wall. With that said, I want to build up as much energy as possible, knowing that if they end up swapping out, I want to have this energy to throw against whatever they're going to bring in. I have back-to-back Flies. I'm at 100 energy. They hit the Moonblast attack drop here, and then they end up coming in with their Gastrodon. Now that I see the full team, I know that our Golisopod has a ton of play here. We can go for a Brave Bird as well. This might not draw a shield. I know at this point, though, they are running out of health. They probably do have to shield this move if they want any chance. They let it go. This is Shadow Claw downrange at this point for a Golisopod. Body Slam is neutral, but it's a very weak move. Mud Slap is doing almost nothing to us as the fast move. Golisopod is one of the best answers here to a Gastrodon. I'm going to go for the Aerial Ace, try to get these shields down, because at this point, if I can draw shields down, I know that our Shadow Steelix should be able to start spamming out charge moves. They actually opt to let their Gastrodon go, and now I have a ton of energy on Shadow Steelix. I can just Shadow Claw this thing all the way down, and in comes a Cresselia here, which is a Pokemon that honestly does not have any play. I'm surprised they're still staying in this game, especially because I have so much energy still left over on our Shadow Steelix. They end up CMPing us here. I know that even a Moonblast might not knock us out, and it doesn't even matter if they do. Our Shadow Steelix is our win condition. We can just come in here, start spamming out Breaking Swipes. If I had Crunch, it would do a little bit more damage, but obviously, I like the utility of Psychic Fangs and Breaking Swipe here. We end up getting the attack drop on the first move here. I'm at back-to-back Breaking Swipes now once again. If they end up letting this go, I can Thunder Fang down. If they shield this, I have another one to throw in just a second here. They do opt to shield that. They are trying their best to somehow win this game, but another attack drop with our Breaking Swipes. I'm wasting all of my luck here, and Breaking Swipe number 3, 3 for 3 on the debuffs in a game I was already going to win, unfortunately, but GG's to them. Next matchup, a terrible lead matchup for us, a Zygarde. This Pokemon obviously is a thing that I don't really have a hard answer to. Thunderfang doing absolutely no fast move pressure here. Obviously, Electric is doing nothing to a ground and dragon type Pokemon, but we have access to Breaking Swipe, which might debuff them, and if they're not running Earthquake, they might not have a ton of charge move pressure against our Steelix. I don't think I got a debuff there, but it's honestly so hard to tell against a Zygarde. The animation is so small. I tried to catch an Earthquake with our Golisopod, but our opponent goes for a Crunch instead, and since they do go for Crunch, that probably does mean they are running Crunch Earthquake rather than Outrage. If it is Outrage, I guess that's going to be good to know later on as well, if we can happen to scout it out. But no, just another Crunch coming through here, which means likely going to be a ground-type move that they have as their secondary attack. Liquidation, not going to do too much damage, but might chip them into range where a Fly, maybe a couple Breaking Swipes could knock them out later on. In comes a Shadow Feraligatr, a Pokemon that is very scary up energy. They'll get a decent farm down against us, which is not good, but this Liquidation is going to do quite a bit of damage of our own. They end up getting a defense drop here against them as well, which means I should be able to shield, farm them all the way down, use this energy in the backline, and hopefully my Shadow Steelix can put in enough work this game. I could have thrown a move here to knock them out, but I feel like the energy on Shadow Steelix is going to be a little bit more useful on Pokemon with a bit more HP. I can Thunder Fang this all the way down, see what they're going to bring in. If it's that Zygarde, I have these Breaking Swipes ready to go. If it's whatever else is in the backline, I guess we'll have to play it by ear, see what they're going to bring in. No, it is going to be that Zygarde, a Pokemon that at this point cannot fast move me down. They likely have to go for a full-on Earthquake to take out my Steelix, and they dumped a lot of energy into our Golisopod. And comes our next Breaking Swipe. They ended up no-shielding that first one. We can't really fast move this down. Do they end up letting it go? They actually do, and their final Pokemon is going to be a Talonflame. This Pokemon is a pick we have play into, but up energy and up shields is a little bit scary. Thunderfang is adding up with the fast move pressure quite a bit. I'm going to swap out here to my Talonflame because at this point, after that no-shield, I know my win condition is just fast move farm down. I know they cannot go for a Brave Bird here. They need to go for 2 Flies if they want any chance of winning this game. Fly number 1 does quite a bit of damage, but another one's going to have to come through here if they want any chance of knocking us out. At this point, they're at 100 energy. I'm just going to CMP them on the fly. If I can win it, that's going to be a shield that I can get from them, and also potentially stall out my switch clock. We do not draw the shield from them, but I guess they're going for the full farm down here instead. What is going on right now, actually? I don't even know. With that said, they are so low at this point. We have the Thunderfangs on Steelix. We have our Shadow Claws on Golisopod. I guess they have just resigned. GG's to our opponent. Next matchup against LNDS Oreo, another streamer. Fantastic battler, but a very terrible lead. We're going to try our best here to safe swap with our Golisopod, see what we can do. And in comes, what is this? The Air Slash Mandibuzz in Ultra League? Fun stuff. The Mandibuzz and Gastrodon core cannot escape us, even when we're not playing Great League anymore. This Pokemon is still here to haunt us. Air Slash as well, probably the worst case scenario that we could see. At least if it's Snarl, they have no fast move pressure, but Air Slash probably puts me into range where 1 Air Release plus the fast move damage should be able to knock me out the longer this goes. I can go for these Liquidations. If I can get a debuff, I didn't get one in the first one, but if I can get one on the second one here, maybe the third Liquidation could draw a shield, but no, we are not getting the debuffs. Unfortunately for us, we do get another charge move, but I'm going to go for the Air Release. I don't actually want to do damage to them right now. What I want to do instead is go for a farm down with our Shadow Steelix, get as much energy as I can for the backline, just in case there's any play with us with that Talonflame in the back. In comes a charge move, a Dark Pulse doing quite a bit of damage, but not enough to really make us worry at this point. If they reach another one, it's going to be able to put us about at half health, but I can no-shield this. I know that we're pretty useless with our Shadow Steelix, saying there is still a Gastrodon left over this game. I'm going to try to snipe them down with an Incinerate. Our opponent, though, saving that energy and coming in with their final Pokemon, which is a Drifblim. This matchup is going to be a little bit more playable than I guess it could be if it was a Feraligatr. This game would be over. Drifblim, though, does have a lot of fast move pressure. It has the ability to debuff us as well, and because we have to clear our debuff if we ever want any chance of knocking out that Gastrodon, I don't know how we can win this game. They also have a bit of energy on that Mandibuzz. They might get to another Air Release against us if they end up coming in, because the 3-turn into 5-turn matchup is so clunky. I would need to be able to knock them out in 1 Incinerate, but they would be able to get 1 Air Slash before I could knock them out, so that could also be a potential lose condition. They're just spamming out Icy Wind at this point, which makes sense, but it is so annoying. I have to go for as much energy as I can here to have a Fly against that Gastrodon later on, and maybe Shadow Steelix can put in enough work to put them into Fly range, but they also have a catch opportunity. This is going to be a very tricky endgame. I'm going to go for the Psychic Fangs, debuff their defense stat, and then if I can, I want to go for the Breaking Swipe to make sure I can do as much raw damage as possible. Psychic Fangs always gets defense drops, but Breaking Swipe does do a little bit more raw damage here, so I want to chip this down as much as I can, guarantee that they're in range of the fly, but they can also just clear this debuff. That is what the Mandibuzz in the backline is going to be useful for, so I'm going to call that they're going to clear the debuff, go for an Incinerate. Our opponent, though, calling that I was going to call it, and they just go straight for it. I could have gone for a fly here, potentially incinerated down the Mandibuzz against a very RPS team, but unfortunately not making the right 50-50 in the backline. GG's to them. Next game, Shadow Virizion. Not what you want to see, but our backline does have, or not Shadow Virizion, just regular Virizion. Honestly, Shadow Virizion would be crazy, but luckily for us, that is just a regular Virizion into our Shadow Steelix. But that's it. We're going to safe swap our Golisopod, go for these liquidations, try to draw shields from this Pokemon. We do get a defense drop against them, which means that if we can no-shield this and get to another liquidation, we can get a shield advantage. With that said, I don't know what moveset they're running. If this is running Earthquake, then our own Shadow Steelix is going to have a tough time taking them out here, and I'm going to go for a very risky Aerial Ace bait. The thing is, this bait doesn't really do much. Unless you bait twice, then you don't actually get discounted on a liquidation. So what I have to do here is I don't even get to the next move. I'm going to go for another ace. We did get the bait and got the shield from that Aerial Ace. Maybe they're going to shield again at this point. So if they do, I guess they do. They go down 2 shields to 0. I guess that was a good bait after all. But with that said, this is still an awkward matchup. If this is an Earthquake, it's going to do a lot of damage. They go for a Breaking Swipe, though. I believe they've already revealed Psychic Fangs against our Golisopod, so now I know this is a completely free matchup. They are not going to do any fast move or charge move pressure against me. I am totally free now to farm up to 100 energy, get to triple Psychic Fangs, and then try to farm this down with our Talonflame. I know that Talonflame is a very strong Pokemon. Up 2 shields to 0, there are very few Pokemon in the game that you would lose to, so just investing in that should be the way to win this. I'm going to wait until they throw energy, and now I'm going to swap out to Talonflame, try to incinerate this down, and then go for an energy advantage Talonflame sweep in the backline, while also having a ton of energy left over on our Shadow Steelix. With that said, it is going to be a Feraligatr in the backline, one of the trickiest answers for our Talonflame, because I can't one-shot them necessarily. A Shadow Feraligatr I could probably Brave Bird one-shot, but the non-Shadow likely will be able to survive a fly. I'll need to throw 2 charge moves and see how they want to play it out. I do have the back-to-back here, though. I can throw 1 fly right now, go for the CMP on the next one. Talonflame generally in Ultra League will win this CMP. Our opponent not going for the CMP, though, and now this should be game over. Even if somehow my Talonflame goes down, which is going to be kind of hard for my opponent to do, I still have those 3 Psychic Fangs left over on our Shadow Steelix, our opponent realizing not much that they could do. Next matchup, a good lead for us right now. I love seeing this here. We have, obviously, Psychic Fangs, which is super effective. Thunderfang is doing a lot of damage. Back in the day when you were running Dragon Tail, this matchup was a little bit more awkward. But with that said, they do have Overheat, which I think this is a Shadow, right? Yeah, Shadow into Shadow. A Shadow Overheat would do a massive amount of damage to us. I'm going to have to double shield here if I want any chance, because I'm almost certain they're going to bait, but I can't risk it. If they bait us, I have to shield the first move. I have to shield the second move. And now we are down 2 shields to 0 using our Shadow Steelix in the lead. With that said, we have an energy advantage. We might be able to debuff whatever is going to come in if we need to, but no, we don't need to debuff this. This is a Pokemon we have a lot of play into. Our Gastrodon, or Golisopod rather, is going to be able to hard wall Gastrodon right now. Mudslap's doing nothing. Body Slam, while not resisted, is not a great move, and Liquidation plus Shadow Claw should be enough to 2-shot. If they want to shield their way through this, I guess they probably could flip this matchup, but I'm kind of fine if they do that at this point. I'm just fine getting this Gastrodon away from our Shadow Steelix right now. In comes yet another charge move here, likely going to be another Body Slam, but I can reach another charge attack of my own in just a second, depending on when they want to throw. Looks like they let me throw this Liquidation before they can get to another Body Slam, which means that this will either draw a shield or get the knockout against this Gastrodon. They opt to let it go, having 2 shields, whatever their final Pokemon is going to be. I'm kind of confused at this point. What are they going to shield? They're going to invest in whatever that final Pokemon is, and I guess they're going to 2-shield the bulkiest Pokemon in the game. The Zygarde complete form does end up coming in here, a Pokemon that obviously has a ton of bulk and not a lot of energy right now. They come in back without wheezing, actually, and I know at this point, by doing this, they've sacrificed any chance they have to clear these Breaking Swipe debuffs. They only get to a Brutal Swing because they were completely energy dry when they swapped out, and now I can spam out these Breaking Swipes. I know I don't have a great answer to Zygarde, but if I can debuff this permanently, then this is going to be a fantastic matchup for a backline. Breaking Swipe number 1 draws the shield and gets the attack drop. I'm going to throw yet another one here. I would love another debuff, but I think that first debuff is going to secure me the game. Breaking Swipe number 2 ends up getting no shielded and no attack drop on that one. We're going to try to catch a move here on our Golisopod, but instead they don't throw until we get the CMP. This is even better right now. Golisopod going to be able to either get a lot of damage or get the final shield from this Pokemon, and now Talonflame is going to be able to just reach a Brave Bird. Even if they have Outrage, which it looks like they do, it won't one-shot our Talonflame. Even if they weren't debuffed, it wouldn't one-shot us. That is not what Zygarde is good at. Luckily, we were able to take the game there. GG's to our opponent. Next matchup, a Tentacruel up against our Shadow Steelix. One of the best leads we could possibly see. Not only that, they are staying in. This is literally the best case scenario. Our Thunderfangs are doing massive damage to them. They are doing nothing with Poison Jabs against us. I could have thrown energy already if I wanted to, but the thing is, I want to have this energy just in case they swap out so I can debuff whatever is going to come in. I want to make sure I can maintain this matchup no matter what, and now I'm going to throw the Psychic Fangs right before they can reach another Scald. I'm going to throw back-to-back here to guarantee that I can go for the knockout or a shield before I have to double shield my Shadow Steelix. But if they do shield, I think I'm going to shield my own Steelix. I want to keep myself as healthy as possible, or maybe I could let this go. It depends on what I want to do. This time, I guess I will let this go. I'm going to find either way, either shielding this and keeping health or not. Our opponent, what is this? They come in Mandibuzz. I'm going to go for a Psychic Fangs. This might be a crazy play, but I want to debuff them right now because I know at this point that I don't have a great answer for this once my Shadow Steelix is gone. So if I do debuff their defense stat, our Incinerates and our Brave Birds, maybe even our Flies, are going to add up a lot quicker against this Mandibuzz. They do throw a Charge Move here. A Dark Pulse looks like it's going to be a lot of damage against us, but not quite enough to two-shot us unless I go for the Brave Bird. The thing is, I don't really care about winning this matchup. I just want to make sure I get as much damage into this as I can to make it so our Golisopod does not have to worry. And now they're going to throw yet another Charge Move after that Brave Bird debuff. Likely a Dark Pulse will knock us out, but I can farm them down with either Shadow Steelix or Golisopod, and at this point we have so much energy on Steelix, I think we're in a pretty good spot. I'm going to wait down my switch clock here because I did do a chip and dip, and then I'm actually going to come in with my Golisopod. I was fine Shadow Clawing them down because I don't think they would reach an air release before we could fast move them down, but they simul swap to a Shadow for Alligator. We draw a shield with the air release, and at this point I see my win condition. Our opponent was triple weak to electric type damage. Tentacruel in the lead, Mandibuzz, Shadow for Alligator in the backline. All I need this game is Shadow Steelix with Thunderfang. I just invest in that, and I should be able to win this one. Air release is going to come through. Not quite enough for a two-shot here if I can reach the next one. So what I'm going to do, just no-shield this, shield the Hydro Cannon against our Shadow Steelix, and then just tap my screen, farm all the way down against the Shadow for Alligator, farm down the Mandibuzz, farm down the Tentacruel, and this game should be ours. This next move is going to come through, but they're nowhere near the next Hydro Cannon, and they're nowhere near to move on any other Pokemon in this game, so yeah, we just farm them down. We farm down whatever's going to come in here. Our opponent thinking for quite a while, what are they going to bring in? Nothing. There's nothing they can do there. GG's to our opponent. Next matchup, another fantastic lead here. We're going to see what our Shadow Steelix can do. Well, okay, they swap into the Tentacruel this time. They're going to switch lock their water and poison type into my ground type Pokemon. You might not expect this to be that bad for Tentacruel because they have Scald, but Psychic Fangs is going to be able to debuff, and then I can swap into my Golisopod after getting that debuff to guarantee that I still have my Shadow Steelix for that Moltres later on. Scald, if it gets a debuff, could make my life a little bit uncomfortable here, but you can see, since we are resisting that damage, and since we are able to outpace them here to these charge moves, we are able to guarantee switch this game. Just match shields if they end up shielding, all shield, and if they no shield, all no shield, because I don't want to give that Moltres too much energy. If they have any sort of energy, they might be able to Brave Bird, do a lot of damage, or even Ancient Power my Talonflame later on this game, so I'm going to intentionally take as much fast move damage as I can, get down to 1 HP, where now one Sucker Punch will knock me out, which will guarantee they will only get one fast move of energy before they're able to take out my Golisopod. Now that I've maintained switch advantage, I've given them almost no farm, and I've chipped down their Moltres, there's not much in the backline that they could use to win this game. The Gastrodon could actually be one of the few picks that could be a little bit troublesome if they have Water Pulse. I'm always going to respect that here. I have 2 shields to 0 at this point. I know I can outpace them to these Flies if they do happen to have it. What are they going to throw? A Body Slam? Maybe a Body Slam bait, but maybe also they just don't have Water Pulse, which if that is the case, we're going to win this game no matter what. Fly is going to come through. If they end up letting this go, then it's going to be in range where our Breaking Swipe or Psychic Fangs from our Shadow Steelix can win us this matchup. They're going to end up going for another charge move here after shielding up a Fly. Body Slam gets the shield from us, and now if they do have Water Pulse and they can reach it before we're able to knock them out, this could be a little bit tricky. Fly number 2 going to end up drawing the second shield, and now throwing on alignment here. A little bit of a risky play, but I knew at this point they probably were going to try to catch after the next Incinerate, so I'm just going to go for the damage here. They can knock us out if they want to, but they have to throw 2 charge attacks if they are going to be able to do that. Body Slam, if they are going to be throwing it, will not knock us out. But yeah, they don't have Water Pulse at this point. We have guaranteed that Body Slam number 2 going to get the knockout against us, but our Shadow Steelix has energy, and I know that Moltres in the backline has no charge move pressure whatsoever against our Shadow Steelix. I guess they could technically have a Payback, right? Payback would do a lot of damage to us. If they did have that as their moveset, then maybe this game is not over yet. We'll have to see. They are staying in here, so maybe they actually are running a spicy moveset. We'll just have to see. Breaking Swipe is going to do a decent chunk of damage, put them into Thunderfang downrange, and let's see what our opponent is going to throw here. They're staying in, no debuff. What is the move going to be? Is it a Payback? Is it a Brave Bird? Is it an Ancient Power? Brave Bird, fortunately, a move Shadow Steelix can easily tank. Right, next matchup here, we're going to see our Shadow Steelix up against yet another Galarian Moltres. Fantastic lead. All we have to do here is the same thing that we did last time. This is the same exact team so far. They say swap their Tentacruel into us once again. This time I'm going to overfarm just a little bit more, get as much energy as possible before swapping out, go for this Psychic Fangs, and now swap into Golisopod. Because I did that. Now I'm able to guarantee that even if they get a debuff here, I'm going to be able to knock them out with the Shadow Claws plus the Liquidations because I got 2 extra Thunder Fangs this time. They did get the debuff, which is a fantastic thing that I did get that extra Thunder Fang damage before swapping out, and now Liquidation might not be enough to knock out, and honestly, I don't want it to be. Once again, I don't want to give them any extra energy on that Galarian Moltres. I want to guarantee that they only get 1 or 2 Sucker Punches at most right now. Scald's going to do a decent chunk of our damage, but at this point, I want to take as much Poison Jab damage as possible to guarantee both switch advantage and energy lead against this Moltres later on. This Liquidation is going to be debuffed this time. It's not going to do as much damage, but at this point, they only got 2 Sucker Punches, and we have 2 Thunder Fangs, rather, of energy on our Shadow Steelix. This is just a complete repeat of the last game. It's going to be a Gastrodon once again in the backline. Played out the exact same way. Just go for these flies. Try our very best to whittle down this Gastrodon so it's not going to be able to destroy our Shadow Steelix later on. They actually opt to let that first move go, which is fantastic for us, because now I know even if somehow our Talonflame does end up going down this game, I'm going to be able to win this matchup strictly through our Shadow Steelix. Next fly is going to come through. Do they opt to shield this? Are they going to let it go? It's going to be an interesting call depending on what movesets they have. It's going to dictate what they want to do here. They shield and they go for yet another charge move. Could be a Body Slam. Could once again be a Water Pulse. That is what I'm the most scared of. Yet another Body Slam, either a bait or it could potentially be that they don't have Water Pulse here once again. Fly going to come through. If this gets a shield, that's fantastic. If it doesn't get a shield, that's even better. Our opponent actually opted to throw a Body Slam right now. I have the Fly. If this is not a Water Pulse, we can survive this. It is just yet another Body Slam here. Fly is going to be reached. Is going to be able to knock out this Gastrodon, and now our Shadow Steelix once again going to be able to close out the backline. Again, if they do have payback, could be a little bit bad for us, but this time they just top left instantly, proving that they do not have it. Next game, Shadow Steelix up against a Zygarde in the lead. A very tricky Pokemon. We've proven that we can beat Zygarde with this team, but it's not exactly the most comfortable matchup. This is where you really wish that Steelix could learn Ice Fang, but since we can't, we're just going to make do with what we have. Spam out these Breaking Swipes, try to catch moves potentially, and see what we can do. No debuff on that first charge attack there, which is a little bit unfortunate. Our opponent opting to throw on Alignment. I don't know if this is a Bulldoze, a Crunch, an Earthquake, an Outrage. What are they going to throw? Unfortunately, it's going to be the worst case scenario, an Earthquake, which is going to put us down into range where potentially these Dragon Tails will be able to knock us out. This next Breaking Swipe is going to come through. It does, in fact, get an attack drop this time, but I don't think it's going to be enough at this point to make it so I can get to a 4th Breaking Swipe before they can fast move us all the way down. Next Breaking Swipe going to come through. They opt to let it go, and they get the full fast move down against our Steelix before that final Breaking Swipe was reached. They come in instantly here with their Wheezing. They clear their debuff, and they have a lot of energy left over on that Zygarde. This is not looking great for us right now. They go instantly for a charge move, just a Brutal Swing. I'm going to go for a Liquidation here, try to go for a farm down as well with our Talonflame. If I can farm them down, I should be in a pretty good spot, but if I can't, or even if they just have a hard answer here to our Talonflame in the backline, this could get a little bit tricky. With that said, they did have a Zygarde lead, so there's a good chance Talonflame has play in the backline, but there's also a good chance it's either just like a Tentacruel, maybe a Feraligatr. This Pokemon are very commonly paired with the Zygarde. So we'll just have to see right now what they're going to do. They have a lot of energy as well on Weezing. It's one of the spammiest Pokemon in the game. They might even get a 3rd Brutal Swing off against our Talonflame. That is exactly what happens, and now we're going to be at 1 HP if we let this go. We might just want to save our shields for our Golisopod. We'll just have to see what we want to do right now. In comes our opponent. I try to wait and see what is going to come in, but unfortunately our opponent is able to actually throw the charge move first. We have back-to-back flies, so I have to throw energy and see what they have in the back. They go for a Crunch, which means they get the defense drop, of course, and now Fly, if it doesn't get the knockout here, is going to do a lot of damage. No, it does knock them out, but yeah, Tentacruel in the backline, that is the core breaker that you really don't want to see. GG's to our opponent. Next game, a Shadow Drifblim in the lead. One of the best possible lead matchups we could see. And then they say swap a Primeape. Okay, so this is awkward. I don't have a great answer to a Primeape up energy. I'm going to call it they're going to Rage Trace Betas. It would be kind of crazy if they went for a close combat here when they're switch locked. But that's exactly what they do. Nearly one-shotting our Shadow Steelix. And now we are in a very tricky spot. How am I going to take care of that Drifblim later on this game? With that said, I think I can farm him all the way down with Talonflame, have an energy lead, and maybe Golisopod can have play in the back. But this is looking very scary right now. In comes that Drifblim once again. That likely means either they just want to make sure their Drifblim has some play this game, or they are very weak to our Talonflame right now in the backline. Maybe it's Double Fighter, maybe an Annihilate in the backline. We'll have to see what our opponent is going to do and what they want to throw here. Almost certainly they're going to go for an Icy Wind, but at this point I've already no-shielded one nuke. I don't want to let another nuke go and just lose all of this energy on Talonflame. They do opt to go for the Icy Wind, which is a very obvious play, but I had to be safe there at this point. In comes our next Fly. They do end up shielding it, so that means that they are so weak to our Talonflame that a debuff Fly is going to draw a shield from them. I have yet another fly ready to go, and at this point, I can just sacrifice my Talonflame. I don't really care about it, because I can Shadow Claw this down with our Golisopod, and if something is weak to flying type damage, I still have flying type damage on our Golisopod as well. Icy Wind ends up knocking us out. We can go for a Shadow Claw down here, potentially against this Drifblim. We do end up getting a one-turn lag, denying us a Shadow Claw, but at this point, I know this is just an Icy. We can survive that, no shield, and the final Pokemon in the backline gonna be that Virizion. Once again, the main reason that we are running Aerial Ace. With that said, we are debuffed. There's a chance this does not two-shot, but the Shadow Claws, after the fact, should be enough to close out this game. I could potentially clear my debuff at this point, but it doesn't really matter if I do that. And if I do clear my debuff, I actually am just going to give them a little bit more farm against our Steelix. So I think the best play is just stay in here, go for 2 aces, which will eventually knock out after the Shadow Claw damage, and then Shadow Claw everything down the rest of this game. They didn't even bait for a Stone Edge, so I no-shielded that first Leaf Blade. Another move coming through. I'm going to shield up this time, and now we can Shadow Claw down the Virizion, Shadow Claw down the Drifblim, and Golisopod, closing out the game. GG's to our opponent. Golisopod, one of the most underrated Pokemon, honestly, in the Ultra League. This Pokemon is so flexible. It has access to Shadow Claw, which is one of the best fast moves in the game. Fantastic coverage as well in Ultra League. Liquidation, which is just a very strong move that can get debuffs. Aerial Ace coverage as well against the fighters, as you have seen in today's video. One of the best coverage moves you could run on a Bug-type Pokemon. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you want to see my battles live, I stream almost every single day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN. I'd love to see you there. The link to that is in the description. And if you want to see more videos like this, please make sure to subscribe. Thank you again for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.